What's up, guys? My name is Wolf, one of the shoutcasters and analysts in MPL Philippines, but I also been part of the World Championship of Mobile Legends since M1 and M2, and hopefully I get to be part of M3. But yeah, I want to say I'm one of the veteran shoutcasters of Mobile Legends in the scene, and I'm here to bring you some explanation on the roles in Mobile Legends. I'm doing this actually because there is a recent announcement that M3 will be happening and there will be a North America qualifier for it. There's actually, I believe, MPL Brazil already. So I believe that because of the fact that we're all ever so growing, there needs to be some sort of like being, I would say, a way to standardize things, especially when it comes to the roles in Mobile Legends, because it's always different. We are a relatively young scene, and Mobile Legends and the mobile esports in general, it's not as big as PC, but I guess this is also the perfect time to really sell things. Now, what I'm about to tell you about roles is something that this is not something that I just work with. I also worked with Moonton, and I also work with some of the coaches here in the Philippines and also internationally to set this up. And I'm pretty sure that this makes sense, and I think that this will be something that will be followed in at least the next set of the next set of months, we're saying. Because one thing you have to take note about Mobile Legends is that the roles and the terms, they're kind of meta dependent and they might change in the snap because of patches or whatsoever. But at least for now, we're safe to say that in this year, this will be like the standard. So let's get into it. And I actually already talked about so many things. So yeah, let's all talk about roles. You gotta understand, I came from a Dota 2 background, and honestly, I came from a MOBA background, basically. So we always have roles or positions in the world of MOBA and just playing MOBA. And of course, Mobile Legends is always part of them. So there are 5 roles or 5 positions in the realm of competitive Mobile Legends. And this is not to be confused with classes in Mobile Legends, because there are hero classes in game itself. Like there are tanks, there are marksman, there's support, mage, assassin, and fighter. So that's 6 classes, but they're not roles. Imagine this: there are 5 roles, and each role can have different classes of heroes. So, for example, a jungler can be a marksman, or a mage, or a fighter, or an assassin. Basically, that's it. Now, what are the 5 roles in Mobile Legends? The first, there's the quick rundown. So there's the gold laner, there's the jungler, there's the mid laner, there's the XP laner, and the roamer, which is weird because it's called roaming, but I'll explain that later for sure. Now, in the realm of Dota 2 as well as other MOBAs, we always like put it in a short form, which is technically it stands the test of time, as well as the fact that it kind of just is standard across all of the metagame, right? And it's called positions, right? Positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, much like in basketball, for example, or any other sports out there. So in the world of Mobile Legends, position 5 is the tank slash the roamer, or loosely called the tanks. You have position 4, which is the mid laner, and I'm sure that Dota fans out there will be surprised. But yeah, the position 4, which is technically a support as well, as position 5 is your hard support. And of course, your position 4 is your mid lane. We'll explain that later. Now, position 3 is your XP laner, which is also loosely called the offlaner. So, I guess some of the fans of Mobile Legends grew up in other MOBAs like Dota 2. That's why it's loosely called the offlaner. And if you say offlaner in Mobile Legends, generally people will understand that. But we call them XP laner just for the sake of being standard about it. Then the position 2 is the jungler, and the position 1 is the gold laner. Now, you're gonna have to understand, positions are made in a way that position 1 is like the highest priority when it comes to the farm. Position 5 is the lowest priority when it comes to the farm. And Mobile Legends have, through the years, made updates that made it also possible to kind of just distribute your farm better. Because one thing that you have to know in Mobile Legends, as it is a mobile esport or mobile game, there's no mechanic that allows for like, well, there is a mechanic for last hitting for sure, for bonus for last hitting, but it's very minor. So the mechanic in the Mobile Legends game is that when there are two heroes or more heroes in the lane in range of a minion, if the minion dies, if the enemy minion dies, you split the gold that you get, right? No matter who gets gets the last hit. The one that gets the last hit will get like a little bit of a bonus, like 30%. But if nobody was able to get the last hit, if it's like just a minion or the turret, you just separate you just split equally the gold. Now, if you want someone to help you in lane, he has to be not in lane, right? But of course, there has been a mechanic now because of the masks that were present that before, and now it's called the roaming item that it kind of helps you distributing your gold even more. We'll explain that later for sure. Now we all have to take note is that this is like the positions and the roles, the running meta roles in the world of Mobile Legends. So let's talk about them one after the other. Start with the position 5, which is the tank or the roamer. The official term for the position 5 is actually called roaming or role, or the roamer of the team. Why is it called the roamer? Well, it's because of the roaming item. It's funny, yeah, it is. In game, you're gonna see roaming items. Before, there is a thing called masks, wooden masks, which is an item that you purchase so that you'll get that roaming buff. For now, it is actually integrated into the boots. So there is a roaming boots now. When you start the game, you pick up the boots, you choose that you're going to be picking up the roaming upgrade for the boots or the roaming blessing, and now the roaming passive activates. So what it does is, whenever you are in lane with any other of your teammate, actually even if you're just in lane, you will not get the gold bounty from minions or creeps. Minions are, lane minions, and creeps are from the jungle, basically. So imagine if you're there alone, you'll not get anything. Now, if you're with your teammate, for example, your mid laner in the mid lane, you are there as the hero with the roaming item, you don't get gold, and the gold that is supposedly split between the two of you will now be 100% going to the other hero. All right? If there are 3 heroes, so you have the roaming, and the 2 others, they don't have the roaming, they will split the gold between them. So that's the general idea about this. All right? So that's why in any composition right now, you need one roamer. You can't have more than one roamer unless it's by the way, that passive that will not give you the extra gold, it will only last for first 9 minutes of the game. So technically speaking, you can get another roamer after the 9 minutes, but it wouldn't make sense. But generally speaking, you need one roamer for your team, so that he will be the position 5. Now, what are the benefits of being roamer, and why do you need that? So, for one, you have to distribute your gold. You need someone in the mid lane to take full of all of that gold. And when, as a roamer, you support your teammates, for example, in the side lanes, you want to help your side laner, or maybe your jungler in the jungle, you can't take away gold from them. You want them to be rich and not you. You're like the position 5. You're the lowest priority when it comes to the farm. So not only that, there is another passive in that roaming item that it rewards you if you're the lowest gold in the team. So when you're the lowest, when it comes to the net worth in your team or your gold worth in a team or the farm in your team, you gain extra gold per second. All right, so that is massive. You need to be the if you pick up the roaming, you can't like steal you steal kills or get more farm from your team because you really need that gold. All right. So what a position 5 does is that it's actually loosely called the tank from before because generally maybe in MPL season 1 or the olden days, you always give your you always use tanks as in hero class tanks from way before just for tank for the position 5. That's why it's loosely called tank. So don't be surprised if like casters or like other people that you know of say that, oh, I'm the tank for the team, but generally what they're meaning to say is that they're the position 5 or they're the roamer for the team. So what does a position 5 do, right? So they tank for the team. They supply vision for the team because there are no wards in Mobile Legends, so that you kind of need to have someone to face check bushes, to provide your vision for your teammates so that you'll have better information about your team. So it kind of roams around the map. Just, perfect for the roaming role. But yeah, you kind of roam around the map and you don't go there like mindlessly for sure. But yeah, you're like the walking ward for your team or the walking vision for your team. You also have, in the early stages of the game, particularly in the laning stages, you disturb your enemy jungling. So it's either you reset the buffs or you just, damage your junglers or whatsoever so that you'll be very pesky and you kind of make it so that your team is on the upper hand. You visit other lanes for potential kills in the early stages of the game. You set up for kills for the team by either starting the team fight or, saving your teammates. Also, you have to be the lowest gold, which is kind of a sacrificial role almost all the time. And reach enough gold from assists. So, by the way, you get extra gold from assist, from kills. So you don't get any gold from minions, but you get extra gold from assists. So that's massive. Reach enough gold with assist so that you'll activate the blessing of the roaming skill. So that's conceal, that's encourage, as well as dire hit. You'll all see that in the in-game client for sure. So, some of the heroes for the role, you have Matilda, you have Rafaela that can heal and save teammates from the supporting class. Or for the tank class, you have Kufra, Akai, and Baxia that can start the team fights with their, crowd control skills and that are, very tanky. They are the first ones to go into the fight. They present themselves and face check bushes so that you will have vision. You also have fighters like Cho and Joehead because they can be quite tanky because of their sustaining skills, but they're mobile enough and can also be used to kind of disturb the enemy jungler. You also have mages. Sometimes there are position 5 mages, like Selena, Nana, for example, Valier at a certain point because of their disturbing ability and the fact that they don't need to farm to be kind of helpful. You also have assassins like Martis, mainly for, invading and disturbing the enemy jungler. You also have like marksmen, like Popol and Koopa, which, is a special case because technically Popol and Koopa classified as a marksman, but he summons a dog, Koopa, a wolf, and that wolf can be tanky. So yeah, get what I mean. Now, that's the position 5. Now, we get to the position 4, which in the case of Mobile Legends is actually in the mid lane. Because there are no special cannons or siege minions in the mid lane. So, in the side lanes, there are XP, bonus XP siege cannons. And in the gold lane, there's a gold lane cannon. But in the mid lane, there's nothing special. No special siege minions. So, you still need someone to be in there. So, someone needs to get that farm. But you don't really need XP or, or gold as much as other heroes. So, this is your 4th position hero. They're tasked in the mid lane. And usually, you get mages from here. Or heroes with fast wave clear. So what the idea is, you clear the lanes so quickly, you have to keep yourself safe so that can participate into team fights. Now, as you clear the waves so quickly, you now transition into helping your jungler or helping your gold laner or XP laner, right? So this allows for your team to have enough firepower when it comes to early game clashes. So the idea is you want to clear the mid lane as fast as possible so that you'll have more time participating into early game team fights. Also, when the turtle spawns around the 2-minute mark, there is still one last wave of minions. So around the 2-minute 20 seconds timing, just before the first turtle team fight, you also will get your level 4, which also means that you'll also have your ultimate and you can participate in team fights. Um, that's the most important thing about the mid lane. So also, you cannot die in the mid lane as the mid laner just because of the fact that you'll give extra gold to your opponents and extra XP to your opponents. Also, you lose some of the farm. You get denied of the farm. So mid laners are generally your playmakers as well because they supplement the damage. And so they're usually your mages or marksmen that have early game power spikes. Sometimes assassins can be picked up, but yeah, mostly mages in there. Usually the position 4 is also I would say, the main hero for main role or position for captains because they have just like a big, field of view of the map. So what they need to do is to clear the mid lane so that they can respond to team fights much faster. Also, the heroes here, they need to participate into team fights. They need to have abilities that can participate into team fights. They can visit other lanes to make the plays, and because of the fact that after the laning stage, where there are no penalties anymore for the jungler to clear the minion waves, you now transition to an actual position 4, wherein fine, you are rich in the early, I would say, first 5 minutes of the game, but afterwards you need to be using that small amount of gold to get your first surge of items, and then just roam around the map and make the plays. You're not anymore farming for your team. All right, you give the farm to the other heroes. But there are cases, by the way, that position 4s are very much scaling, so they still get farm. But that's a topic for another day. Basically speaking, the mid laners, they take in the mid lane because because the roamers cannot take that, and the side laners cannot take that as well because it will take so much time. So somebody has to take care of that mid lane and to clear it so quickly so that he can participate into team fights. Alright, so that's the position 4. Usual heroes out here are mages, like I said. So you have your Farsa, which is a long-range artillery hero that can dish out so much damage and even participate in teamfights so much faster. You have Nathan, which is, a mix-up between a marksman and a mage. So technically speaking, he is still a mage, can scales very well, but still is magic-based and also is long-ranged. You also have Beatrix, which is now the marksman, which is an early game power spike, so he can participate into team fights despite being marksman. And other mages out here are Lunox, which have deadly ultimate to get when he gets to level 4, when she gets to level 4. I mean, you have also Matilda, which can also be played as position 4 or position 5. So those are the heroes that can be seen in the mid lane. But yeah, they are still technically support. So positions 4 and 5 are still technically supports or part of the supporting cast. So don't be surprised if you hear other people say that, okay, I'm the support of the team. Or, position 4 is a support, or mid lane support, or mage support. Yeah. So do not be surprised. By the way, Estes is a meta hero from Blacklist International, the current runners-up of the Mobile Legends Southeast Asia Cup, and they use supports primarily, Estes as one of their strongest heroes out there. Now, let's get to position 3, which is the XP laner, or loosely called as the offlaner. Do not be surprised if you hear the term offlane from streams or from other players out there, because we kind of started with knowing that this is like the offlane role. So basically what you're looking for in the XP lane or the off lane, you need heroes that can stand on their own. That generally it will be a 1v1, and they kind of want to sustain themselves, or sometimes they need to clear the lanes fast enough so that they can participate in the team fights as well. They are also innately the tankier of the crew, the tankier role of the crew, because they need to be the one to start the fights in the mid game. They also need to be able to sustain themselves, and they can also duel with their opponents. So it's just generally your typical off lane or top lane, or your XP lane. So what is the importance of the XP lane now, and why is it called the XP lane? Now, two things. The turtle, the first turtle of the game, spawns every 2 minutes. Start the 2 minutes, and it will always start on the side of the XP lane. So for example, the XP lane is in the top lane. The turtle will be there. The first turtle of the game will be there for sure. And that is a point of contention. That's a big objective to have for all of the teams, for both teams competing. Now, if from the XP lane, at the 2-minute mark, if you clear all of your waves, if you don't get denied of the EXP siege minion, you will get to level 4 100% sure, because just how mathematically it draws. You don't need to kill your opponents, kill your matchup, or you don't have to kill anyone. As long as you get all of those minions in the EXP lane, you get to level 4, which is the perfect timing for your ultimate, which will then mean that you will be able to participate into the team fight. Now, as the meta dictates, at the first turtle fight of the game, you'll have your XP laner, ideally your mid laner, and your jungler at level 4 at this moment. Your position 5, you will not get the level 4. It will get that because he's the the least priority, and because he needs the roaming item. So generally, the game goes like this. The first turtle fight will look like a team, both teams having their offlaner or their XP laner as with ultimates as a threat for team fights. They will have their jungler in there so that you'll have the retribution to get the bonus damage burst against the turtle. You also have your mid laner, which hopefully is also level 4 at that moment, and you also have your position 5 as as extra, and also can provide vision for your team. So I mentioned that because this is the importance of the XP laner. XP laners, really the main key is, if you want a hero in the XP lane, he needs to be able to clear the waves fast enough to be able to sustain himself, as well as to have enough mobility tools so that he can get into the team fights much faster than the opponents. And most importantly, he needs to have an impactful ultimate at level 4 so that he will be able to help into that turtle team fight. So some of the heroes out here in the XP lane, you have Paquito, that's the top of the pack. You also have Barretts and Phovius, because they're innately very tanky, and they can start the team fights for you as well. Some fighters out there, because they have crowd control, and they also are very mobile, and these are heroes like Benedetta, as well as the Lapu Lapu and Ruby. Benedetta doesn't have like a hard crowd control, but it's very mobile, and she does dish out so much damage in team fights and in wave clearing. So Uranus is also a hero that is considered in the XP lane, as well as Esmeralda. So those are heroes that are valid in the XP lane or the offlane. Now let's head into position 2, which is the jungler. Now as the meta game evolved in the last year, a jungling role or jungler now exists in as a standard in any composition. So the jungler, technically speaking, is the one to want to get all those jungle camps. Now, what happened? Why do you need a jungler? Because now, if you don't have a retribution, which is the main jungling battle spell, if you don't have retribution, you don't have you're in a big disadvantage, because you can't take turtles. Because retribution does so much damage to the turtles, and if your opponent has retribution, you're doomed. You just get team fight out there. And also you need to get the gold from the jungle in the early stages. You know, the jungle creeps are strong enough in the early stages, or are tanky enough in the early stages, that a normal hero will not be, without retribution, will not be able to get that. So now retribution gives you also like bonus damage in the jungle. And now, if in the first 5 minutes of the game, if you have a retribution, if you just have that battle spell, if you chose that battle spell, you will have a big penalty when it comes to the gold and XP that you get from lane minions. So that's about 70% if I'm not mistaken. So imagine like only getting 70%, only getting 30% gold and XP when you split with your laners. That means that junglers cannot touch the lane minions, because that will be a big problem. You will not maximize the gold that you can get all across the map. But that's only in the first 5 minutes. Now, why is he the position 2? Why is the jungler not the position 1? Even though junglers are generally your star players, right? So it's actually true. Some of the top players, if you want to be known in the scene, if you want to, showcase your talents, you say, I'm the jungler of this team. I'm the quote-unquote core. They call themselves core. Or sometimes they call themselves funnel because that's how they grew up. But yeah, the real proper term is junglers, right? So your junglers are assassins, generally speaking, fighters, or heroes that have so much dashes, so much skill shots, and so many these are generally high skill capped heroes that you pick up in the jungling role, because they can dish out damage, but there's always a trade-off of like they're squishy, or that they need specific combos to be able to pull them off. So that's generally what you have as the junglers. They're position 2 because they get their first surge of money, of gold from the map, and then they need to use this to participate into teamfights, to actually get kills and to roam around the map, to visit either the mid lane, the side lanes, explain on the gold lane, so that they can push. Right, so you don't just farm and farm and farm in the jungle, because eventually you're gonna run out of jungle minions to farm with, and you need to use that big surge of items so that you'll be able to help your team win the game. Junglers, you see some of the heroes out here are Hayabusa and Ling, meta heroes in the jungling role. They're the assassins that can, dish out so much damage and can traverse the map so quickly. They kind of are squishy though, but they're hard to kill. And also, sometimes there are fighters like Pakito and Xborg, more on the on the objective side of things. Marksmen like Granger, Yisenjin, and Claude. These are marksmen that, even though they are labeled as marksmen, they still have very strong early game potential. And you also have Harley and Nathan as your mages that sometimes can be used in the jungling role. So they need to be quick with their jungling so that they can participate in the team fights much better. And also, they kind of need to like dish out so much damage in a snap, so that they are impactful. Usually that's what happens with junglers, and you kind of need to make the plays for your team. So you kind of need to also be like a shot caller as a jungler. You can't just farm. Sometimes some strategies involve the fact that junglers are like the main carry of the game, so that they will get the most farm. But that's a topic for another day. Generally speaking, the junglers are like the second in priority when it comes to the farm, because they need to participate in team fights. So the last position, the position 1, is the gold laner. So in other MOBAs it's called like the safe lane, or your position 1 carry. It's kind of the same. So because of the existence of the gold siege minion in the gold lane, where you get extra gold from taking down that minion, there you will have a hero or a position that will get more gold. And by the way, this will only last for the first 7 waves of the game. But you kind of want to stay in the gold lane, because there's a mechanic where the outer turret energy shield, or the tier 1 turret energy shield, that as long as it is active, you get raw 25% damage reduction. Be it magic, be it physical, it just, it just clips the damage that you get by 25%, which is massive. So that you can stay in that lane for the first 5 minutes of the game and just, farm your heart out from there. So these are the heroes that are selected in the gold lane are heroes with good scaling, meaning to say that the longer the game goes, the more items that they have and the stronger that they get. And in Mobile Legends, because of the roaming item, the position 5 can help out easily in this lane. But the meta strategies now involve making sure that your gold laner has a better matchup against the opposing gold laner. So most of the time, this is a 1v1 lane, and you cannot lose your gold lane matchup. It's massively penalizing. It's and ultimately rewarding if you kill your matchup in the gold lane. So heroes in here include mages like Alice, Lunox, Harith, and Esmeralda, because in the realm of Mobile Legends, there are mages and mage items and mage abilities that allow you to scale even in the late game, even despite being magic. So you also have marksmen in here like Claude and Nathan and Beatrix. They can fend for their own. They also make the most out of the items that they get. You have assassins like Benedetta and Hayabusa, are valid in the gold lane, and some fighters like Paquito, Ruby, Xborg, and Phovius. And yeah, generally that's the big the big emphasis in the gold lane is that you need to translate your time farming into damage into the latter stages of the game. Wow. I actually didn't notice that I spent about 30 minutes just talking to you guys, and I hope you understand something from what I said. I just said a ton, and if you have any questions, just feel free to drop it down in the comment section below. So just to sum up everything that we talked about, there are 5 roles or positions in the realm of competitive Mobile Legends. Position 1 is your gold laner. You need the utmost priority in farm, and they kind of carry you in the late game. You have your junglers, which also can carry you into the late game, but generally it's the second in line, and they also take over the jungle in the first 5 minutes of the game. And of course, not only the first 5, but yeah, at least they start in the first 5 minutes of the game. But yeah, you get the point. Third is the XP laner, which takes the XP lane, which is always near the first turtle of the game. That's why you badly need that ultimate. And fourth, the mid laner, which is the sorry, I actually have big acid reflux right now. Yeah. The position 4 is your mid laner, and generally composes of mages or any hero that can clear the mid lane fast enough so that they can participate in team fights. And the position 5 is your roamer, or your loosely called tank, or at least their position 5. It's way cooler to call yourself position 5, by the way. So they're generally the heroes that provide the vision for your team, and also is the sacrificial role, because you need to take that roaming boots so that you also help out with your teammates when it comes to the economy. That is the video, guys, explaining all of the roles in Mobile Legends. Sorry it took a lot of time, and I know that you're quite bored, but I hope you learned something. M3 is just around the corner. So far, right now, it's by the creation of this video is September, middle of September, which is also the middle of the MPL seasons in MPL for MPL season 8 across all of the MPL regions, and also they will define the qualified teams in the M3 World Championship. But also there are qualifiers in, I believe, in Brazil. I know that there will be a CIS qualifier, and I also know that there will be Japan in it as well. And yeah, it's gonna be, and of course, majority of Southeast Asia. It's gonna be a big tournament, and I hope you all will see you there. I don't know if I'll be casting there for sure. I don't know if I'll be part of the casting team for that one. I do hope that I'll be part of M3, but yeah, hopefully I get to see you there. And if you have any questions, just drop it down below. Follow my social media at Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and Instagram at Wolfcasts. Until then, good game and good night.